There's only one real place to start, and it's with a question to Don Hutchison. We're going to go full screen. Producer Sam isn't aware that I'm going to do this, but there you go. You've got 2 brand new kits behind you. You're Scottish.
Yes.
You didn't pay for them, did you?
I did.
No,
I did. I bought them from the club shop.
You did?
I bought them from the club shop. And if I see any of Shaka's power rankings and Newcastle United are first from now to the end of the season, I'd be devastated. We are going to milk this like you wouldn't believe.
Quite right. First domestic trophy for 70 years. Brilliant scenes. Did you celebrate with them, or were you working and doing goal rush for Premier League?
I was working, mate, but trust me, I was watching all over social media the parade the week after. It was incredible. 300,000 Geordies turned out in Newcastle. Phenomenal support. I loved it.
From magic to misery, Janusz Michallik, not you, but Spurs and Ange Postecoglou. For a fan base that's all wanting Enoch and Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy and everybody out of their football club, the last thing Ange Postecoglou wants is to be kind of put in that bracket. But when you kind of do the whole cupping of the ear when Sarr scores and then it's disallowed, is there a big concern here that the fans who were on his side may now be kind of thinking, oh, I don't like this behavior from the coach?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he didn't help himself, did he? It's just incredible because we all know him well, right, from different parts of the world where he's managed. This happy-go-lucky Aussie that always gives us something to smile about, and you can see what pressure does. We sometimes don't realize that. We often talk about it as players. I think we've been there before. We criticize players, even though we know very well at times how that feels, and even though you do absolutely everything, at least in your mind, nothing comes off. But the truth is that it's hard to defend him, right? Because you look at the results, you look at the team, you look at the game against Chelsea. I thought, I saw Chelsea that have progressed, right? I mean, you see a style of play, you see an organized team against Spurs that I thought were just number of individuals not really listening to this coach. So he hasn't managed well. He hasn't done it well before the game, during the game, and now that you've mentioned that, after the game as well. That was real pressure, that interview talking about VAR and all that, where everything was pretty simple, wasn't it? I mean, we all saw it, and I feel for him simply because I like him and I respect him, and I think what he's done before, even at Celtic, you can say all you want about Scottish League, but I enjoy it, and so there's something in him, but he's stubborn, and at times like these, you just have to be pragmatic.
Look, Don, having watched the entirety of the press conference earlier today and also his post-game yesterday, there was a mea culpa there. He's like, look, I shouldn't have done that. And then the VAR thing as well. I understand what he's talking about because it had 12 minutes in the second half added. There was a 6-minute stoppage. That's not the issue here. It's just very difficult, though, because he was appointed in summer 2023, given a mandate to change things. What have they had? 24 years, 16 managers, and 1 trophy. What has he done? What is going to be his legacy? Regardless of how long he's at the football club, from the time he got there to whenever the time is that he moves on.
He's got no legacy. He's got no legacy. The only thing that was in his favour, they were coming off the back of Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, where the football was quite dire. And he came in, and early on, it was winning 4-3s or losing 3-2s, but it was entertaining. But when you're a Tottenham manager, I've seen Tottenham managers get sacked for finishing 5th or finishing in the top 4. You cannot lose 16 games in a Premier League. That's how many they've lost this season. They've lost 16 games. And there is a scenario that Wolves are only 5 points behind them. So if Wolves catch them and Tottenham finish 4th bottom, are you telling me he's going to keep his job? They've got Southampton at the weekend, who are the worst side in the Premier League and one of the worst sides of all time. If Southampton go to Tottenham this weekend and beat them, Ange doesn't get the Eintracht Frankfurt games. Yeah. He'll want it, and he's hanging on for it. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why Daniel Levy hasn't sacked him now, because it almost feels like a Ten Hag scenario at Man United when he won the FA Cup and Man United went, it feels a little bit harsh, if we sack him now after the FA Cup, but you've got to do the right thing for the football club. And Ange was terrific up in Scotland. He was fantastic. But I get the feeling when I watch his Tottenham side play, they play off the cuff. And you can play off the cuff in Scotland because you're going to beat the majority of the teams. He's playing off the cuff football in the Premier League where, the intensity's there, and teams have got tacticians, and teams have got set piece coaches, and teams work on all the little minor things that might just get over your line. But when I watch his team play and I know quite a few Tottenham fans, and they're like, what are we seeing? Like, what are we seeing from Ange? Early on, it was very good, but now we're watching a team that's got zero direction.
The fans want to back him, Janusz. They're desperate for him to do well. And even when everyone else is having a go, he'll stick up for the team and he'll stick up for the fans. But to do that thing with Sarr when the goal was scored, because the Spurs fans weren't happy when Sarr was introduced. Don says he doesn't have a legacy going forward. They could still be Champions League bound. They've got Eintracht Frankfurt and the winners take on Bodo Glimt or Lazio. Is he clinging on by his Europa League fingernails right now, Ange Postecoglou?
It's hard to say because, I mean, it's almost perfect situation for Daniel Levy, right? He's getting stake as well for a number of reasons, right? But it could be a scapegoat, right? It's hard to look at Daniel Levy right now. I mean, injuries aside, and they all have him. And they are important, right? I mean, there's a reason why Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal fall off lately, right? I mean, Liverpool to a degree are good, but also a little bit lucky, right? That throughout the season, they've managed those injuries well. But aside from that, I have a feeling even winning it, I mean, it'd be difficult to say goodbye to Ange, but I think, psychologically, he's at a stage where I just wonder, even with winning it, if they would part ways. So, the fans are not happy, cupping of the year, that's one thing that just adds to it. But I think they're just not happy because even, everyday person, everyday fan sees what's happening in this team, sees how much potential there is, sees that high line and the risk taken. I mean, if you just want to look at it yesterday, right, Don, I'm sure you were watching, 50 seconds in, right, the high line. I mean, come on, Chalobah plays a simple ball over the top. Jackson goes, almost scores, right? And you say to yourself, you have pace in Mickey van de Ven, you have Romero, you have your two starting center backs, but they're coming off injuries, right? I mean, the last thing I would do with all these injuries, right, especially hamstrings, is to say, you know what? I'm going to work in Van de Ven. And I was in Europe for the Spain against Holland games where, Van de Ven wasn't playing. And I look at Romero coming back from injuries like this, you off to the races 50 seconds in where, almost an own goal. So you say to yourself, okay, it's end of the season. Just stop the bleeding, right? I mean, you don't have a great record against Chelsea to begin with, for the most part, and just get something out of this game just to quiet down things, right? And get ready for that big game in Europa League. But here we are, wide open, and, it's just disappointing, right? Because that's managing.
And Mark as well. That's the very basic of football. When you've got players, and especially when you've got a pair in the two centre backs in Van de Ven and Romero, and they're playing most of the times when they're fit, and they're two very good players when they're fit. But this is the very basics of having football knowledge. When you put them back into a side, the last thing you would do is play them on the halfway line and say to Van de Ven and Romero after their injuries, right, every single backtracking run that you've got to make, you've got to make 40 yards or 50 yards. Not just once. You might have to do that 20 times in the game. The knowledge when you're looking after players and you're really thinking about the team and you're really thinking about the individuals and keeping them fit, drop them 20 yards. You can still play your aggressive football. You can still play good football, but you're managing your two centre backs. You're managing their injuries. And don't forget when we talk Daniel Levy and we're talking about, the Eintracht Frankfurt games and he's clinging onto his fingernails, which he is. We've seen Daniel Levy sack Jose Mourinho before a cup final, about 5 days before a cup final. So I'm telling you, honestly, Southampton cannot go to Tottenham this weekend and beat them. And Ange thinks he's going to get the Eintracht Frankfurt games. I just can't see it. It would be an embarrassment losing against Southampton and losing 17 games. It's unheard of.
There's just one place between Spurs and Manchester United in the table, 13th and 14th. But there's a lot of similarities, Janusz, isn't there? And it's bigger picture. It's not really just about the manager. It's not really just about whether it was Ten Hag and now Amorim, whether it was Pochettino or Mourinho and now Postecoglou. It's a bigger picture than that. For both, is it a long fix? Is it something that can't be fixed straight away for Spurs and Man United? Because what do? You get rid of Ange Postecoglou. If he gets knocked out of Europe, then what do? Hire somebody else in? Then what happens? Fans still want Daniel Levy out. Where do they go from here, Spurs?
Yeah, I think Spurs are in a much better position than Manchester United, aren't they? I mean, there's a pretty decent squad when everybody's healthy, right? Not only the players that they have, the experienced players, but the younger players like Bergvall coming up, Archie Gray. I mean, there's quite a bit of, Odegaard who's missed most of the season, but remember how he started it. I mean, he was on fire. It was, I was kind of enjoying his game as well. So you look at Son, you look at Kulusevski, who's been outstanding. Obviously, didn't play in the last game. I think there's a core of very good players and a pretty deep squad if they stay healthy. I mean, you can't say that at all about Manchester United. So I think they're in a better position. If Ange gets a chance, fair play. If he keeps them healthy, I think that in itself is going to be better for Spurs. But it's kind of doubtful, right? So it's just, again, and it's not all that easy. Just picking the right man for the job. Look at Manchester United. Look at Arsenal for a while. I mean, it's not all that easy. Liverpool seemed to be the only one that kind of has done it well, right, with Klopp and now Arne Slot. But there's a good core of players for Spurs. So next season, regardless who's in charge, I think it's going to be much, much better if they stay healthy.
Still some outstanding candidates, by the way. I mean, Iraola's tearing it up at Bournemouth. I think Thomas Frank, I championed him for the Man United job before Amorim got it. Mancini's available. So for a Tottenham, the size of Tottenham are, they can still attract big day managers. And I just think, when I talk Thomas Frank and I talk Iraola, these guys organize teams, and this is not hard. This is why I talk about the basics of being a coach or a manager. It's organization. David Moyes has done that since he's gone at Everton. That was Sean Dyche's role. Didn't play particularly good football, but David Moyes has gone in at Everton. He's organized the team. It's so important that you just don't play off the cuff football, because it just turns into a flick of the coin game. You could win it one week, you can lose the next. But I think, from Ange's point of view, he'll be looking over his shoulder thinking there's some very, very good candidates ready to take my job.